This episode is sponsored by Adorn Comfy Closet, where comfort, style, and satisfaction unite.
But nobody wants to get to know me. So am I desirable? Or am I just categorically hot?
Is it really that deep?
Not really, but we make it that way.
Well, let's casually talk about it.
Let's do it.
What's up, everybody? It's Ressie G, not Cardi B, but I still get to the money.
And I'm Oaklyn Jonas Galloway, a.k.a. OJ to OG.
And welcome to Casually Deep. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you can be a part of our casual conversation. Today, we are really having a pretty interesting... I think all of our conversations are interesting, but I'm really excited about this one because I think it's going to provoke some thought in some people.
Absolutely. I think it's going to allow people to think about not only themselves, but the way they view others a little differently.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be interesting to see how people take stock of their point of views.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the debate.
Okay, so today's debate, we're going to be discussing whether we feel that fetishism is rooted in attraction or not. Now, for me, I don't necessarily feel like fetishism is rooted in real attraction. I feel like the word attraction in this particular context is a very general term because for me, attraction lies in the individual. And I feel like when it comes to fetishism, there's only so close you're mentally going to get to the individual because the real root of your interest in that person doesn't really have anything to do with them.
Okay.
I feel like there's a certain interchangeability when it comes to fetishism, and that, like for me, for example, I go through a lot of what I like to call black guilt over my occasional attraction to white men. And so it causes me to kind of step back and think like, I just lost my train of thought. Interchangeability. There it is. Okay. So for me, sorry. Even with me, with my occasional attraction to white men, it always leads me to step back and think, is the white guy that's attracted to me really attracted to me, or am I just the black guy that's returning interest? And so it causes a lot of pause in me because I don't necessarily know how to approach situations outside of my own culture group in that regard. And I haven't done a lot of dating outside of my race. But it also causes me to check myself because I also have a strong attraction to Asian men, something that we'll get into later. But I constantly find myself checking myself and be like, am I attracted to the individual that I'm looking at, or am I attracted to Asian features?
For me, I think the opposite. I think that fetishism is directly aligned with attraction. I think that because I've been fetishized. I think as long as I can remember, I've always been fetishized, from being femme-presenting to being curvy to being, well, those are really the two things. Because a lot of guys, they like a BBW. They kind of want to suck you dry and eat some
lunch with you?
Yeah, eat some lunch with you.
Yeah.
And I always have found that even though I may be a man, people have been attracted to, or men have been attracted to the curves, the thickness, the softness of what I present, even if I am, you know me, masculine or whatever you want to call it. I still, in a sexual moment, that is when I'm usually always submissive. And so I think that turns men on, which then it becomes a fetish, which drove me to start only dating men that I was attracted to, not men that was attracted to me. So since I moved to Dallas, I've been really doing that, and because I don't want to be fetishized. And there's nothing wrong with it. You know, I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum, but I don't want to be a part of your yum experience.
That.
Just because of how I present myself, what I look like. Let me just be alluring and attractive and sexy and the sex kitten, because that's what I am in those moments or on my day-to-day, and not because you like to get your rocks off to this particular type of person. And then crazy enough, if I know prior to us having a hookup or being sexual that I am a kink for you or I'm a fetish for you, it kind of turns me off. It really turns me off because I just don't want to be seen as an object. Even though it's just a hookup, I still don't want to be seen as an object, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense because I go through that as a black man.
Black?
A lot of the times, but see, for me, there's a couple things that come from your point. I feel like with me, whereas my skin color is something that's a physical attribute of me, it's not something that's distinctive to me. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you're a curvy person, you're built the way that you're built. You know what I'm saying? Period.
Brick house.
Bad Mama Jamma. Hello. So there's very it's distinctive to you, your specific essence, the way you express your submissiveness, your femininity. It's very specific to you as an individual. Yep. Whereas with me, I always find, usually when it's too late, usually in the moment, I'll find like, oh, this is just a black thing. It's not me. And I just happen to be black and I happen to return interest. Because a lot of the times, the few times that I have hooked up with white guys or guys of other ethnicities, it tends to be a situation where they approach me with an expression of interest to me. But then once we get into the moment and the heat starts rising and, you know, the things start happening, it's all of a sudden black this, black that, oh, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything in this moment? You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why, a big part of the reason why I feel like fetishism doesn't always root from attraction, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen or I've heard people refer to a 4-inch dick as a BBC simply because it's attached to a black man.
Okay.
Thank you. That's what I mean by it has nothing to do with the actual dick itself or the fact that it's big or not. It's the fact that it's attached to a black person and that innate, like, that's just what comes with that. Like, it's like the label that comes with that. And it just really, I really don't know what to do with that, because I base my, like, it really helped me put my attraction to Asian men in check, because I realized I'm not attracted to Asian men specifically because they're Asian. I'm attracted to the individual, because I can look at Simu Leo and think he's gorgeous, and then look at somebody else, I couldn't think of another example, and not be attracted at all. You know what I mean? Whereas a lot of the times when I'm approached as an attraction for other races, it's usually based in the fact that I'm black and nothing else. Or if there is anything else, it starts with my blackness and then everything else is a perk or a sprinkle on top of that. And that's a big turnoff for me.
Got it.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you think. Do you think that fetishism is rooted in attraction? Let us know if you've experienced this, what you felt the root of it for you is. If you feel like you're having attractions that could be construed as a fetish, let us know how you navigate that as well. Drop down in the comments and let us know what you think. We'll be right back. What's going on, everybody? This is OJ the OG, but I still got the juice. And I wanted to tell you guys about Adorn Comfy Closet, where comfort, style, and satisfaction unite. For all of your comfy closet needs, make sure you go and place your order with Adorn Comfy Closet.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us and coming back with us. So let's go ahead and get into Pause, Talk, Play.
Alrighty. Let's see what we got.
Discourse on my TikTok around Asian men being the least attractive and least desirable based off race. And I wanted to add to this conversation by addressing the dissonance experienced as a gay Asian man. Being a queer Asian man in America.
You know, I always forget that culturally, being gay in different cultures is always experienced in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always like the furthest thing from my mind of how, even though he looks very stereotypically attractive, there's still like this problem, so to speak. Go ahead.
Interesting. Being a queer Asian man in America is characterized by being undesired by most and fetishized by some, and this experience is really jarring and harmful.
I relate to that sentence, being undesired by most and being fetishized by some, because I think for me, it goes into a personal point of view of me seeing the type of guys that I am typically attracted to, not typically be attracted to guys like me. And then the guys that are attracted to me from the type of guys that I'm attracted to are fetishizing.
In what way, though? How do you know what brings you to the conclusion? How do you know the difference between the two?
Because
is it like a common thing that they say or how they approach you? Because I know what it is for me.
Typically for me, it's I'm attracted to black men who aren't attracted to black men.
Okay.
And then when I am approached by not necessarily black men, but people outside of black men, it's based on the fact that I am black.
Do they say that, though?
Not up front. It's always in the moment of entertaining. You know what I'm saying? It's always when I'm that. When we're engaging in the moment, the descriptors that continue to be used, it's not necessarily, oh, you're, it's like, oh, the black this, you're black this, oh, that, and it's always characterized with an adjective, and the adjective is typically having to do with my skin color.
Crazy enough, pause it. So, I relate, but in a different way. Like, I know, like, there are signs when a guy is, to me, fetishizing me or just fetishizing me. I know when they say, damn, you sexy. In any type of adjective about my looks, one, you pretty, you sexy, I know that ass is fat. All of those things are just literally, all right, I know how this is going to go. I know how this conversation is going to go. I know where you're going to go with this, and I know what you want. So if I feel like playing into it, if I got time that day, I'll go ahead and play. But if I ain't got time, you'll get blocked. So,
Okay.
On one side, you only see white men being placed on pedestals in queer spaces and media, alongside derogatory comments about how small and feminine Asian men are. Especially my formative years being in the 2010s, I spent so much time internalizing this as me falling short. On the other side,
I never ever think of Asian men being feminine because of their size. Like how petite a lot of Asian men are. I never equate that to femininity, and it just dawned on me when he said that that's a thing.
I can see where he's going. I've never equated it in those terms. I've never thought of it as far as Asian men. But I do see the comparison as far as size, because I feel like for the longest time, a lot of people perceived me as more feminine or twinky or delicate than I was because I'm so small. I think that a lot of people's initial perception of me because of my size is that I'm more feminine than I am. Never thought of it like that, though.
on the other side, I deal with some people who desire me in a fetishizing way that parallels Asian women, where I'm assumed to fit a more submissive and feminine role by default. To illustrate this, I am 26 years old and I have never once been asked if I top or have a desire to top, except by my now boyfriend, who is an Asian man. All this to say, I still enter rooms today and know that a majority of people will not desire me or select few might fetishize me. And I'm still doing a lot of inner work to separate the external validation from my own perceived value. But it's really hard. I've seen some growth in representation of Asian men as multifaceted and worthy human beings. But I'm also aware that at the end of the day, representation does not instantly translate to changing deep-rooted sentiments. This will take time.
You know, when he right. I can't poke a hole in it. Because I agree that it takes people to address the discomfort because of who they are, like he just did. Mm-hmm. And then it takes others to respect it. But then you can still respect his point of view and still be attracted. Mm-hmm. And I think that people have a tendency to to conflate or even make it so that what you are and what I see is only for this particular thing. Mm. Like if I'm attracted to you, then I can only fetishize or fantasize about you and lust after you, and that's it. But then you have those people where they get into relationships and then they are attracted to the person, and then because they are attracted to that person, that opened the door for them to get to know that person. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I don't typically get that far because once I recognize that there are fetishistic tendencies in a person, it typically turns me off. And the disconnect mentally for me is real. So I'm like, I don't necessarily know how to engage with you because now with me being an overthinker and a bit of an extremist, I now trickle that down into everything. So now I'm like, okay, so like where do I fit into this? Because I'm just another black person that you like. So what about me outside of my blackness? If I was any other race, what about me would you still be attracted to? And if a person doesn't lead with that, then I can't connect to them because I'm like, it goes back to that interchangeability.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I was just any other person who was black, you would feel the exact same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that also leads, for me, into desirability as a whole, though.
So, do you think that... How often is the statement true that most people that are desired are not attractive to most? Because I think the idea of who I am is desired by a lot of gay men, but none of them, the majority of them, aren't necessarily attracted to me.
I can see that too, because I can even take that personally and hear a lot of people say what type of guy they want, but if it's not in a specific package, then they never get to who that guy is because it doesn't come in this box. But then if that person doesn't come in a package that's 6 foot tall with an 8-pack abs, big titties and a fat ass, or in some cases a big dick, then none of the other stuff matters.
Right.
So is general attractiveness a layer of fetishism? Like,
or is being generally attracted to someone dead?
I could see that for the macro because of societal beauty standards. I think that the way people view traditional beauty gets very narrowed and conflated into a very small package, and so people try to look for the branches of that tree in a very small forest. You know what I mean? They look in a very specific area for the things that are general things to everyone, but it goes back to that specific package.
And I think too that people always like to fall back on, oh, it's just my preference, it's just my preference. There's a difference between, and then that's why I think that general, just being attracted to someone is dead. because I have sat in rooms at kickbacks and had really engaging conversation with many men. Many men. Many. And it always has boiled down to they like everything. I meet all the checks on their list because of who I am, what I do, where I've been, where I'm going. But because I may not be model type or fit or go to the gym 20 times a week or what have you, I could not be the love of your life, so to speak. Which is fine, and I get that. But I think that that's like so, I don't want to say shallow, but sheltered. Or your palate hasn't been broadened. Because I have had men who have been attracted to me, and then we've had sex, and then the idea of me and being with them has completely changed. It's so open after that, because it's like after the hurdle of the sexual attraction, because I mean, men, we are sexual creatures, but after that hurdle has been jumped over, then it's like it's all free game.
Interesting. I can kind of see that, because I think I'm probably one of the last people that engages in general attraction, because I always like to say I don't have a type, because I found people attractive of every race, creed, nationality, ethnicity, you know, you name it. I found somebody who I found attractive in damn near every group there is to find somebody attractive in. So for me, my box isn't narrow enough to where they have to look like this and be this tall and look like this and have this amount of muscles and this and the third. And then I've also engaged in conversations with people who I didn't necessarily find sexy as fuck off the rip, but then I engage in conversation with them, and the way they articulate, the way they express themselves, their emotional intelligence, the way they think, that all of a sudden makes them even more attractive to me. So I guess what comes first? How do we navigate that? Because instinctually we're attracted to what we're attracted to, and we're not attracted to what we're not attracted to. But how do we go beyond that to see if that shift can happen? Like, how does one get past that?
I think that it goes to a person needing to actually cast their net a little bit more broad and see exactly if they're really looking for love, then they go for love. But if they're looking for sex, then you can narrow that. But if you're looking for love is there's so much range in love, because when you think about love, that's a long-term relationship type of thing. Comment, and let us know if you have ever been fetishized, or if you feel that people that are fetishized are not necessarily attractive, or if fetishism and attraction are parallel or not. I would love to know what you have to think on this topic.
Comment below.
So, as we continue the conversation, I really want to pose a question to everyone watching, and of course to us. It's been on my mind, and especially after seeing that last video, it really provoked some thought. What is true desirability?
That is something that plagues my mind too, because speaking for myself, I think it starts with attraction, and then I think for me, what is true desirability is having the attraction, but also being able to engage in the intrigue that goes beyond that. I think that being able to access a person's qualities that make them an individual is showing a level of desirability that is intentional.
Okay.
I say that because I struggle with this a lot, because I get approached by people, but I never feel like people are truly attracted to me. I feel like people are attracted to what I look like. And so I find it hard to engage with people on any type of serious or intentional level when it comes to dating or interacting with anybody, because I feel like I'm being fetishized for physical appearance and people don't really care who I am as a person. It's weird. But it's weird because it's new. Mm-hmm. Because I can only really equate this to pre-marriage and post-marriage. Pre-marriage, people found me attractive because I was a great person. Now, people find me attractive because I look good. Mm. And I don't necessarily know how to rationalize that because I'm not used to being seen in that lens. Mm-hmm. And so I find myself complaining about my dating experiences, and people are looking at me like I'm a fucking crackhead because they're like, what do you mean? People try to talk to you all the time. You're this da-da-da-da-da. You're this, and this. And I'm like, yeah, but nobody wants to get to know me. Mm. So am I desirable? Or am I just categorically hot?
I mean, I think that when we look at desirable, I look, for me, my definition would go to the traits of what I desire to be in a relationship with. Mm-hmm. So, there's specific things that I like in a man that of who I would want to date. And then thinking about what I would like in a guy, I know for a fact that I possess those qualities that someone would like in me. Mm-hmm. And I think when we look at the definition of, or even create a new one, true desirability is past your looks and actually being someone of, I don't know, I just look at it as like, there's only been 2 times in my life where I have walked in a room and saw someone and I'm just like, oh, okay, who is that? Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you about one. So one, I had went to this ugly sweater party. Mm. And, I like a theme party, and I love a theme party. And went to this party, walked in, I'm very Southern, very much that. So I'm going to walk in, I'm going to say hey to everybody, shake a hand, give a hug, and all of that. So this person who had this party had a very quaint place, and it was very open. So when I came in the door, I made, hug the host, hug the people that I knew and recognized. And then when I turned around, I looked in the kitchen area, and there was this guy standing in the kitchen area. And I said, oh, and to myself, I'm like, who the fuck's that? And so I walked over, I said, you're someone that I need to know. Uh-huh. And he says, oh, am I? I said, yeah, come talk to me. So we go to the balcony, and we talk or whatever, and then with talking with him, from the way that he looked, from the way that he looked, and from the conversation, I was like, this is someone that I could actually be with. This is the type of guy that I desire to be with. Uh-huh. And it was just off of those, from the first impression, him receiving my flirt, him flirting back. So I think desirability does have to have some type of action between two entities too. But it was him receiving the flirt, me flirting back, and then him engaging in a conversation where, because every conversation that I have with a guy I'm interested in, I'm going to check off my stuff. Mm-hmm. And very much what Chili wants. And hey! I'm going to check off everything, and then once I figure out all that, that's when we move to the next step of, okay, do you get my phone number or do you get my Instagram?
Hello?
Because see, if you get the Instagram, that's one thing. But if you get the phone number to my personal phone, not the work phone. Him. Yeah, I like him.
I like this boy.
It might be a thing. For real.
I
want to ask you a question, though.
Sure.
Because you said that before you were married, people were attracted to you because you were a good person. Mm-hmm. Now that you're divorced, it seems people are just sexually attracted to you or physically attracted to you. Do you think that has something to do with the time and the day that we live in, or is it an energy that you're putting out?
I tend to not give myself that much credit because I don't think I present myself in a sexual way. I think I'm just a guy. And I say that because I don't necessarily think of myself as a sexual being.
Okay.
So I wouldn't necessarily know
But you
how
do
to
have
present
sex,
it.
though.
I do have sex, but I don't think of myself as like sexually enticing. Like that's not like when I look at myself in the mirror,
Come on,
I don't
Wade.
think like damn. I don't necessarily look at myself and I'm be like, damn, you look good. Like, oh, I'm fine as fuck. Oh, you sexy. Like, I don't see that. Like, I don't look at myself in that type of lens.
Child, I wake up every morning.
And you
I'm in the
you
mirror.
brush your teeth.
Okay. And
You spit it out. You lean forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Every morning, spit it out. I go like this in the mirror. And I lean forward and I pause. And I say these words. Pretty bitch.
Pretty bitch.
As you should.
Uh-huh.
But
And I'm going to.
But I think that goes back to a conversation that we had about affirmation. But go ahead.
I was just finna go there. Because this is not an uncommon thing that I've heard from the stereotypical gay guy. The look, the fit, big dick, nice body, masculine appearing type of guy. But I've heard this a lot. And so, because whenever I'm in a room full of people, I always like to ask the questions of, so what do you date? What don't you date? And all of that. And I always find that a lot of men, more than not, have this, they're oblivious to how attractive they may be to a wide range of people. And not just speaking, with men, women as well. And I always wonder where that comes from because I can't relate to that. So I don't, in my mind, it may be a conceited way of thinking or whatever, but I think that I'm attracted to everybody in some way. But then when I see the people that ideally would have more of a roster, it always interests me to hear that they don't. I don't either, but
Yeah. I think for me, it goes back to that conversation that we were having about affirmation, where I was a kid that was never complimented or praised for my looks. Like, I was never, like, exalted because I was the cute kid or because I was the athlete or because I was, the stereotypically masculine kid. I was always prided on being smart. I was always prided on being talented. I was prided on being creative. And those were the things that always made me stand out. So up until the last year or so of my life, I've never been viewed in the context of what I look like. It's always been, oh, he's funny, he's smart, he's talented, he can dance. It's always been everything that I do versus what I look like or who I am.
What's the age difference of when you were single before marriage and single after?
I met my husband at 19. I'm 33 now. I met my husband 2 years after graduating high school.
So that's interesting. Because ideally you are a student at that point. So your accolades are built around your success in school, your athletics, your extracurricular activities, that's what's on paper. And then now that because a lot of gays in their 20s, they doing a whole bunch of stuff, but you didn't necessarily do it because you was locked in. So all of the development that you went through was in a relationship, and now it's kind of like you're picking up from 19 to now. That is very, and then now, well, now you understand. Because, 30 is a sweet spot. 30-somethings, we in a sweet spot when it comes down to our groove. So that's what the girls are going to be looking for. They're going to be attracted to the outside, not necessarily the inside, unless you meet. And online dating don't work for me. It worked for some, but it don't work for me. But I know on online dating, that's literally all. Because, you just judging somebody by a picture and a swipe. So.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess for me, I have a level of an individualist way of thinking that I don't necessarily process things the way general population does, because I didn't necessarily have that pushed influence on me of this is the way people think, this is what's normal, this is what everybody does. Excuse me. I was just left to my own devices growing up, so I just kind of figured out what was my normal based on what I comprehended. So for me, even in my 30s now, I still look at people based on what type of person they are versus what they look like. Like, do I look at people for how attractive they are? Absolutely. We all look at like, damn, he fine. Damn, he sexy. But for me, my mind doesn't immediately go to, I want to fuck them. My mind goes, I want to have a conversation with them. Because I want to know if my attraction to you is just based on looks or if there's something under there. Am I attracted to the energy that you're presenting, like the aura that you exude, or are you just cute?
Right.
And then if you're just cute, I'm not attracted anymore.
Right.
Because there's nothing to hold me there.
All beauty, no brains.
That.
What are 5 traits that you desire to have in a mate?
Intellectual, and not necessarily in a book smart type of way. I like people who, it's not necessarily life experience, but they just have a level of engagement with the world. You know what I mean? Like people who have a sense of adventure, people who have a sense of inquisitiveness, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with, you know, book smarts or like college degrees. People who like to learn about people and the world and about things. People who have an inquisitive mind. That's a big one for me because I'm very inquisitive myself. Like I really love to learn about people. I like creatives. I like people who are able to not take things too seriously because I'm an overthinker and I'm an extremist. I like people who have a calm disposition because I carry a lot of anxiety and I tend to be very frantic. And I'm what people would call a big personality. So like I like somebody who can balance that out and calm me down and bring me back to a level of reality. Because as somebody who is in the entertainment industry, I feel the need to be on all the time. And as somebody who's an ambivert, it's hard to turn that off. Because when I'm in public, I feel the need to be on and be the personality and be, you know, a representative of whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But then when I'm home, I'm very just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence is something that's probably my number 1. That's probably the biggest. I don't know how many I've named at this point.
That's the 5th one.
Okay. Emotional intelligence is probably the biggest for me because I have a lot of emotional baggage and trauma that I work through. And so I think I have a little bit of a developmental lack in emotional intelligence because I feel like I've gotten stuck in certain spaces in my life. And the growth from step to step hasn't necessarily been a gradual one. It's been like a trip and push into, oh, you have to get this now because you're in this stage. You know what I mean? My examples of that are I wasn't necessarily able to fully heal from the issues that I carry from my parents because I became a parent. And so it became less about me healing my own parental traumas and it became focused on me not passing them down.
Right.
And so there's a lot of emotional growth that I probably haven't done as a person because I was stuck in a marriage or stuck in a relationship for 13 years and in a marriage for 6 of those. And so I didn't have a lot of time to focus on the I of it all because I was so focused on the we of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So somebody with a level of emotional intelligence that has an awareness of themselves and has an awareness of how to navigate with other people is very important to me.
Yeah. You desire your opposite.
I do. I absolutely do.
I love that.
Yeah. Which is why it's hard for me to date other Virgos.
Virgos, child.
We always get a bad rap.
Listen, we're going to pray for all the Virgos. Okay. If you think that you have a different definition of what it is to be desired or desirability, I would love to hear it. Please comment below and let us know what you think about this conversation about desirability, what we missed, and if there is something that you want us to circle back on. Like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'm Ressie G.
And I'm OJ the OG. Mm-hmm. And we will see you later. Make sure to stay casual, be deep. And all the Virgos in the audience, comment and let me know you feel me. See y'all later.